What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Peter Pan and Wendy movie review. This is part 2. If you guys missed part 1, I'm going to link it at the top right of the screen, and it will also be in the description box below, so you guys can go watch that and you can come back to this review. But this is going to be part 2. We're going to pick up exactly where we left off. We're going to waste no time. So guys, before we do, of course, just consider giving this video a like to help push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider giving me a long view duration, because the longer you watch this video, the more we can fight the YouTube suppression. With that being said, let's get into part 2 for the review of Peter Pan and Wendy. All right, so last time we left off with Wendy and Tiger Lily, aka our super indigenous, super powered woman, going into a cave and trying to rescue Wendy's brothers from Captain Hook, who took advantage of them and kept them hostage, trying to lure out Peter Pan, essentially, because they know that Peter Pan is going to come try to rescue the brothers. At least that's his idea anyway. They go into the cave, and then now we get into this first scene where you see Captain Hook in his full-on ensemble. And like I said, man, Jude Law, who plays Captain Hook, plays it very well for the most part. I wish he looked more like Captain Hook. I've said it in my last review, but I'm not going to take that away too much. It is a little bit of a downer for me, but again, he plays the character fairly well. It's just not enough for me to be into it. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate his character more than the others because he plays it better than the others, but it just is not enough for me to say, oh, okay, this is a saving grace of the movie. You know what I mean? It's just not there. So Wendy's brothers are tied up in chains by the pirates, and then this happens. Check it out.
No children in Neverland. No children in Neverland.
No one but children in Neverland. No one but children in Neverland.
So Peter Pan is hiding in an outfit, obviously, amongst the pirates, and he's trying to make them change the chant from no children in Neverland to no one but children in Neverland, and eventually it does start to change the chant, and they realize what's going on, and Captain Hook ends up telling them all to be quiet because he realizes that the chant has changed, and then they all kind of single out Peter Pan in that outfit, and they ask him, who is he? He doesn't answer because he gets nervous, of course. The pirates start to approach him, and then we have this glorious scene. Check it out.
Fake beard.
I've got to say, it's not half bad being a pirate.
So obviously now he realizes that it's Peter Pan. So this is exactly what was supposed to happen. Peter Pan is going to try to rescue everybody. But the thing is, my issue with this is that Peter Pan, this whole fight scene, and it's not just Peter Pan's fight scene too, because it's even worse with Wendy and Tiger Lily, and we're going to get into that probably in part 3, because that's at the end of the movie. But they have these very Rings of Power-esque like kind of fights, and it's almost as if nobody is trying to sell a fight anymore. It's kind of like you're watching a play. That's really the only way I can put it. And I understand it's a kids movie, or at least it's supposed to be a kids movie, but still, like, you can kind of sell me a little bit more on the fight scenes than you actually are. The fight scenes in this movie are god-awful. They are literally so theatrical that you can't even make an argument otherwise. When enemies are taking a swing at Peter Pan, they are taking a swing at him as if he weighs 400 pounds in the wide width direction. Like, as if, like, if they're swinging all the way to his left, he's nowhere in that direction. It's like they're not even trying to sell this fight scene. It just looks like a bad theatrical play. Actually, I've seen better fight scenes in a Broadway play than in this movie and movies like it, and like TV shows like Rings of Power. I've seen much better fight scenes in Broadway than on here. But you'll see exactly what I mean as we go forward. So obviously Peter Pan is discovered. Captain Hook is mad about that. And then now we get to see Peter Pan's epic little fight scene. Check this out. It is cringe. Like, where was he swinging, bro? Can somebody tell me, where was this man swinging? Where was he swinging that he had to swing all the way to the left, all the way to the right? This, like, Peter Pan didn't even have to really dodge. He didn't have to dodge. I'm telling you. Like, he could have just stood there and the guy would have missed completely. And that's what I mean by you not selling it to me. But again, now we got something even worse. Check out this horrible, cringe little fight over here. Yes, that that really happened. So again, he apparently can't hit Peter Pan for the life of him, and all it took Peter Pan to do was just hitting him right in his knee and creating a bowling ball effect. But mind you, the guy is rolling down the middle, right? So he's rolling down the middle. You had pirates coming in on the left and the right side. How did these guys fall into the water from the guy rolling down the middle? It makes no sense. None of these guys were anywhere near this dude, but somehow they just decided to flip into the water and say, screw it, we're going to jump in since everybody else is jumping in also. They literally made Peter Pan one-shot all of these guys with just hitting this guy in the knee and make him fall and roll over. It's so bad. It's very much like a play. I just don't know how else to explain it other than that. So obviously Peter Pan talks crap to Captain Hook, and we have a little scene where they are going to basically go at it. They start fighting. Check this out. It's a lot of like aim for the weapon kind of a thing, which I know a lot of actors are trained to do when they're practicing, but that's to get them into muscle memory to eventually try to sell it when they actually are on screen. But these guys are just simply aiming for each other's weapons. Sometimes they're aiming for each other's feet. It just doesn't make any sense. It is a very terrible, terrible fight scene.
Yes! Get his head!
Did you guys notice that? Did you notice that? Oh, man. So they took a playbook out of Rings of Power. Let's play this again. They took a playbook out of Rings of Power where the good guy, Galadriel, had to slap the bad guy or the bad people on the butt just to show how amazing they are at swordplay. Right there. So I really do think they are using the same choreographers as from Rings of Power. I would not be surprised at all. But anyway, Black Tinkerbell over here is apparently great at lockpicking, which is fantastic, mind you. I'll let you guys figure that one out. Peter Pan and Captain Hook are fighting, and Captain Hook actually gets the edge over on Peter Pan, and then this happens. Check it out.
All my bad form I learned from you.
Don't flatter yourself. You've always been rotten. A stinking, rotten codfish.
So they go into a little bit of a backstory between Peter Pan and Captain Hook. Essentially, Captain Hook was a child just like Peter Pan, but he was exiled from Neverland because he missed his mother and wanted to go back and see his mom. And Peter Pan, being the psychopath narcissist that he is, didn't like that, so he essentially kicked him out of Neverland, and that's how Captain Hook ended up getting older. But then, of course, returns to Neverland with other men, and they try to get revenge, I guess, on Peter Pan. That's essentially the backstory that they're trying to portray here. Peter Pan tries to say that Captain Hook has always been rotten no matter what, and tells him, if you have the courage, then strike, and then this happens. Check it out.
Courage? And strike true. For to die
Would be an awfully big adventure.
Hey, stop!
So it kind of leads to the notion that this has happened time and time again. Captain Hook and Peter Pan have been in this fight nonstop in Neverland because they basically know each other's words at this point. They know how they're going to finish each other's words, and it's been a nonstop battle between the two. But Wendy ends up stopping Captain Hook from cutting Peter Pan, and then this happens. Check it out.
Who are you?
I've never seen you here before.
Well, you see, She's a Wendy!
Wendy.
What's a Wendy?
So Captain Hook meets Wendy for the first time, has no idea who the hell she is. They try to say her name. He has no idea who she is or what she's there for. He explains he's Captain Hook, and Wendy says that she already knows he's Captain Hook. She's read the stories, and that they're in Neverland. She understands everything. And then he turns around and tries to threaten Peter Pan again, but ends up getting stopped by the alligator. He realizes the alligator is behind him, and then this happens. Check it out. Classic scene from the cartoon.
That is one big...
So obviously nothing's going to happen to Captain Hook at this point in the movie. But if you guys don't know the backstory, essentially the crocodile got Captain Hook's hand and ate it. And ever since he ate Captain Hook's hand, he's had a hard-on for Captain Hook and has been wanting to eat him ever since, and constantly pursues Captain Hook and won't stop until he has him. So the crocodile is essentially Captain Hook's nemesis, even though Peter Pan could be considered Captain Hook's nemesis too. I guess he has two for all we know. So while the crocodile is keeping Captain Hook busy, the kids try to escape the cave, of course, and then Peter Pan and Wendy end up having their little thing where Wendy starts to question Peter Pan if he can beat Captain Hook all on his own, and then they have this little bit of a backstory. Check it out.
Do you really think that you could beat Captain Hook on your own?
What's a gaggle?
Of course I could. I always beat him. That's just how it works. Always has, always will.
And what happens if it doesn't?
Yes, what happens then? That won't ever happen. Will it, Peter?
Of course not. This is Neverland. where nothing ever changes.
I gotta tell you, the way Peter Pan's face never changes, like, I find that to be a little bit ironic. Peter Pan, his expressions are god-awful. They never, ever change. He's just incapable. He's like the male Kristen Stewart. I just don't understand how he's incapable of not changing his facial expressions. But again, even though they're outside, everything still has a yellowish greenish tint to it. It's just the same typical color grading that we've been seeing throughout the entire movie. And now we see the home of the Lost Boys. So this is the home of the Lost Boys, but before they all go inside and Wendy goes inside, Wendy's by herself outside with a good old indigenous tiger lily on her horse with feathers and a tomahawk. And we get this little scene between both of them. Check this out.
The first time I rode out on my own. Untitled Chapter. My great-great-grandmother. She came to me and said, "Feel the ground beneath your feet so that your eyes can find the stars."
Of course, they got to give the indigenous woman some magical quotes because that's just expected from Hollywood. But you see how she speaks Cree every now and then, even though she damn well knows that Wendy cannot understand it. It is such an annoying thing to me. Like, just speak English at this point. Like, you're in the movie. Obviously, everybody watching it speaks English. They expect to understand you. Just speak English. I understood if you wanted to showcase the Cree language in the beginning, and maybe she finally understood, oh, maybe she doesn't understand Cree, so let's speak English somehow, some way. That's fine, but the fact that you have this woman speaking Cree when she still knows to this point in the movie that they don't understand it, it's like, why are you doing this? It's just a way to showcase her being diverse. That's the only reason why they are doing that. Otherwise, it's just annoying. So Wendy ends up going inside the home of the Lost Boys where she has a little bit of a discussion with Peter Pan, obviously. Check this out.
That's a trick question. This is Neverland, where there are no mothers and fathers.
Why aren't there?
I don't remember my mother.
Well, now you don't have to. Wendy can be our mother.
Goodness, no. I don't even know if I want to be a mother.
It's very, like, cultish to an extent. And I know Peter Pan, the story of Peter Pan is a lot darker than the Disney version makes it out to be. But, I mean, this movie definitely showcases, at least in my opinion, maybe because of the color grading being so damn depressing, because it's still, again, it's the same yellowish, greenish tint throughout the entire movie, regardless of whatever color they're wearing. I would guarantee you in real life, these pajamas are more so blue than the green that they come off with in the movie. But Peter Pan really wants these kids to think that they don't have no mothers and no fathers, even though Wendy obviously knows that that's not true. They all have mothers and fathers, and they have some of them have forgotten them, some of them haven't, but for the most part they all know they have them. And Peter Pan doesn't want them questioning about the mothers and fathers because then he's gonna lose all of them. Then Wendy ends up starting to sing, and then when she's singing, Captain Hook actually notices the song that she's singing, but he doesn't quite know how or why. He's completely forgotten why he knows that song. Check this out.
I believe I've heard something like that before.
Wendy ends up putting all the kids to sleep and then starts to climb up what looks to be a tower. And when she gets to the top of the tower, she realizes that Peter Pan's name is on the wood carved as Peter's room, but it also says James's room with an X slash through it that Tinkerbell is trying to show to Wendy. And then when she puts two and two together, Tinkerbell creates a hook in pixie dust, and then that makes Wendy realize that James was actually Captain Hook, and both of these guys were best friends, and that's just more of an explanation in the backstory. So she confronts Peter Pan about the whole situation, and she understands that, you know, Captain Hook is essentially friends or ex-friends with Peter Pan, and at that point, Captain Hook finds them and says that Wendy's voice drew him back to his old home. Check it out.
Drew me back to my old home. Thank you.
So now, since the pirates actually caught the kids, Captain Hook is going to go upstairs to confront Peter Pan by himself. Now, keep in mind, in Neverland, nothing is supposed to change. Everything happens the same exact way. Peter Pan always wins. Captain Hook always loses, but none of them ever die because you can't die in Neverland, and they confront each other, and it's like a never-ending battle. Captain Hook goes up to Peter Pan, and when he confronts him, he actually ends up successfully cutting him, which is something that he was never able to do before, thus proving that things can actually change in Neverland. Check this out.
Finding you!
So both of them are super shocked at the fact that he actually managed to cut Peter Pan. Peter Pan just starts to back up slowly, little by little, and then this happens. Check this out.
I don't think I like this adventure.
So Peter Pan ends up falling because he realizes that the adventure has changed. This is not the same story that's always been told. Tinkerbell tries to go after Peter Pan, where you're about to see some of the worst CGI in this movie, and that's saying something because this movie is filled with a ton of bad CGI, which ends up leading to the best scene in the movie, in my opinion, where Peter Pan lands on the floor so utterly hard that I just had to cheer, to be honest with you. Check this out. Why did he why did he accept his fate like that? Like, I don't even know. His eyes were open all the way until the end, and then right when he realizes Tinkerbell got captured, he just like accepts it and just slams on the ground. Well, I don't know. It's just pretty funny, but needless to say, I don't think he's going to be making any more scam calls for a while. So Peter Pan essentially lands on the ground super hard. All the kids are just completely shocked by that. They can't believe that happened. They're all scared and everything like that. Captain Hook can't believe that he actually successfully killed Peter Pan. At least in his mind anyway, he thinks he's killed Peter Pan. He takes all the kids, including Wendy, onto his ship and then ends up leaving from there. And what you see is the pixie dust on Peter Pan starts to slowly fade away. Check this out. So that's supposed to showcase that Peter Pan has died, basically, right? When his pixie dust has faded away, that's supposed to be his life essence fading away. Now, his shadow somehow escapes the cave because Peter Pan's shadow is separate from him and ends up going to the land of the indigenous people because, again, all indigenous people live in tiki huts, clearly. They always sit by a fire. They're always sitting there meditating. It's such a typical trope. Check this out. So they all get this idea because they sense Peter Pan's shadow that something has happened to Peter Pan. And then, of course, Tiger Lily is going to go rescue Peter Pan because the women have to go save Peter Pan. It cannot be the other way around anymore. And that's where I'm going to end this part of Peter Pan's review. And we'll go over the last part, how in part 3, it's nothing but a feminism movement. The part 3 is probably going to be the worst out of the entire review, simply because, my God, the amount of girl bossing that happens between Tiger Lily and Wendy is just awful. And I'm telling you, you gotta watch it. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought. And I'll see you guys in part 3. Hypnotic out.